community moment. At Kansas City Oasis, we offer the opportunity for someone from our community to come up and share something about themselves, a thought, an idea, their journey story, whatever it may be. And we've had all kinds of interesting, awesome community moments over the last year. And so today, we get to welcome Neta Meltzer. And as usual, we kind of like to be able to introduce people from our community to you guys. So I asked her a few questions. Her field of work is education and outreach at the Metropolitan Organization to Counter Sexual Assault, also known as MOXA. Her hobbies is collecting books, more books than she'll ever have time to read, and then also reading those books. I asked her for 3 words to describe herself. She said tiny, Israeli, and feminist. If she had a warning label, she said it would be, I am known to discuss difficult, awkward, and sensitive topics for a living, not for the faint of heart and mind. Let's give a really great warm welcome to Neta.
Forgive me, I'm probably going to read right off of this, but before I start, I want to just kind of give like a trigger warning, a warning label, if you will. The community moment that I'm going to share has to do with the issue of sexual assault, and I know that this can be a sensitive issue for some people, so if anybody needs to zone out or go hang out with their children or do something else, totally feel free to do that, and I will not be offended. I share news articles about sexual assault on my Facebook page. I'm always staying up to date on issues related to sexual violence because of my job, and I sometimes come across articles that I think are worth everyone's attention. I've learned not to be surprised when these are the posts that inevitably get the least amount of comments from my friends. Even photos of my cat receive more enthusiastic attention. In fact, I'm fairly certain all of my Facebook friends have unfollowed me just so they don't have to see these kinds of articles on their news feed all the time. And I sort of get it, but I don't accept it. I was glad to be able to speak on a date in April because this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We have all kinds of awareness days, weeks, and months throughout the year. In fact, last week was Anti-Street Harassment Week. How many of you knew about that? The guy who catcalled me in Westport on Friday night seems to have missed the memo. Sometimes these special days and months can seem kind of meaningless. What change are we really making when we label a month Sexual Assault Awareness Month? It's easy to feel that these efforts are futile. This year, the theme of Sexual Assault Awareness Month is safety on college campuses. And while this is an important theme, an issue that has received a lot of attention in recent months, the fact is that sexual assault is not just a college campus issue. It's an issue that affects us all. And for that reason, I want to take a moment this month to raise our collective awareness. The thing is, we live in a rape culture. That is to say, we live in a culture in which sexual assault is both expected and accepted. We know it's expected because if it wasn't, many of us wouldn't have to walk in groups with our keys at the ready on our way through a dark parking garage. We know it's accepted because the lack of justice for victims speaks to the seriousness, or lack thereof, with which we approach this issue. Out of every 100 rapists, only 2 will ever spend a single day in prison. But rape culture isn't just about that. It's also about seeing each other as less than human, as objects. It's about being blind to the way our individual circumstances shape the lens through which we experience violence. It's about a lack of autonomy and choice when it comes to our own bodies. At Oasis, we say meaning comes from making a difference. The difference will come when we are aware, because change begins with education. Let's change the conversations we have about sexual violence. Instead of blaming the survivor for their assault, why don't we start by supporting them and providing them with resources? Instead of assuming that the survivor of sexual assault is lying about what happened to them, why don't we insist on justice and a safe community? Instead of perpetuating commonly believed myths about sexual assault, why don't we make a point of educating ourselves about the facts? Let's replace fear with compassion. Let's not settle for anything less than justice. I'm going to keep posting articles about sexual assault, domestic violence, inequalities, and injustices on my Facebook page. I know I probably won't get a lot of comments, but someone might see it, and they might take a moment and think about it. they might talk about it with someone else. Sexual assault awareness doesn't stop when this month ends. And eventually, if we reach enough people, if we raise enough awareness, we will see a difference. And like we say at Oasis, meaning comes from making a difference. Thank you.